Speaker, Kenya, I stand by them in this House. I speak for them in this House. And when they name the 25th of June, 2024 Z-Day, they will know that you did that. I thank you.
The Senate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to this very important motion, the State of the Nation. Madam Speaker, because we have some time, allow me to begin with sending my sincere condolences to all families that were affected by the loss of their loved ones. Allow me to name, because I'll use my time to name the young people who lost their lives. Madam Speaker, we lost the life of Brian Lemayan Kasaine from Narok, Austin Makoha Nakuru, Mike Kihunga Nakuru, Kelvin Madanga Nakuru, Chris Gitonga Nanyuki, Kennedy Onyango, whose mother's image has not left my mind, from Rongai. We lost Rex Masai from Machakos, Matthew Njoroge, Kevin Mawasi, Bisley Kogi, David Chege, Erickson Kialo Mutisia, Ibrahim Kamau Anjiru, Kennedy Odhiambo Maina, Wilson Sitati, Kennedy Njeru, Eric Kayoni Kieni, Eric Karatu, Brian Kimathi, Kariton Mwangi, Ernest Kanyi, Caroline Shiramba from Kakamega, Brayo from Kisumu, Mbithi Alaya Scott from Kisumu, Emmanuel Giggs Tata from Mombasa, Joshua Ombati from Mombasa, Clinton Mwavali Kapsabet, Kevin Odhiambo Siaya, Brian Rongo, Bernard Mungai Ndwati, and we have another nearly 10 whose bodies are lying in the mortuary unidentified. Madam Speaker, I believe we have many more whose names had not reached the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. I felt it's important to name them, Madam Speaker, because what has happened in this country is a revolution for the third liberation of this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Gen Zs are simply trying to get back this country on track. Madam Speaker, I wish people would not speak. People are consulting so loudly that I cannot even hear. Listen to what I'm doing. Madam Speaker, the Gen Zs are telling us a very simple thing, that in 2010, we put in place a constitution to guide how this country should be governed. But this country is not being governed in that manner. And they are telling us that there is a very important provision in the Constitution that we have chosen as a country, particularly the leadership, to ignore. They are bringing us back to the implementation of Article 10 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, they are bringing back the conscience of this nation. They are telling us that we must go back to what Article 10 says about respect for the rule of law, respect for human rights, governance in a manner that respects equity, equality, and the most important one, that we must now start governing this country applying the principles of transparency and accountability. And Madam Speaker, because a lot has been said, I want us to immediately move on how best we can actually speak to the issue of transparency and accountability. The finance bill was a trigger, and the President has returned the finance bill to the people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, what we are forgetting, that the finance bill is usually passed to finance an appropriation act that had already been assented to. It is usually passed to speak to budget items that were in the budget policy statement. Madam Speaker, the mistake number one that we do in this country, we do not publicly discuss the budget items and the appropriations that we are put in the Appropriations Act. And the Budget Committee and the National Assembly have failed us because they did not scrutinize budget policy statement. They did not scrutinize the appropriations bill properly to be able to tell the President, some of these things you have put here cannot fly. Madam Speaker, part of those items include the following: confidential budget in DP's office, 800 million. Confidential budget in the President's, in the State House, 1.4 billion. 863 million for hospitality in the Deputy President's office. 400 million for dealing with the drugs, and NACADA will be given some more money. 320 million for innovation in the Deputy President's office. 1.5 billion for renovation of state lodges. Meantime, we have 600